I was home from school one day and my parents told me they had something for me to watch, and it was me getting adopted, and they basically just let that be known, and they didn't really go into it after that. They didn't tell me more until I got to like, I would say like 25 years old, 24. I didn't know till I was in the 6th grade.
What was that like?
It didn't affect me in the moment. In the moment as a child, it just was like just information just in my brain. But as I got older, that made me question my reality and everything around me. So that made me question life and why am I here, being a human, and this reality. I know that my parents couldn't have kids. So in the 90s, in the early 90s, my dad helped out a homeless man and was able to help him get on his feet. He was working at a gas station, and I guess like the way to repay him, he's like, well, what can I do for you? You know, you helped me out, and I'm born in Dominican Republic. So the homeless guy was going back to the Dominican Republic, and my dad was like, well, if you know anybody that has a child that, you know, or is pregnant and doesn't want to keep it, let us know and we'll come take the child. And that's basically how I was adopted. And I have like 10 siblings, supposedly, that I don't know. My biological mother died like 9 years ago. It's okay, I didn't know her. My mother, who did raise me, passed away about 5 years ago too. So she was the most impactful of my life. And my father, nobody knows who he was. He didn't want to claim the child or nothing. You know, he kind of just like visited the island and, you know, hooked up with my mom, you know, just a hookup. My mom just got sick one day. She forgot how to went to work, forgot how to get there. And she came back home, started throwing up. She rested for a day, and then she told me to take her to the hospital the next day. And I took her to the hospital, and they kind of like quarantined her and me, and they thought she had like tuberculosis or whatever. Turns out she had stage 4 lung cancer and brain cancer. She smoked a lot of cigarettes, and yeah, she was sick for about 4 months. My dad came to help for like 2 weeks, and then he left me alone to deal with it, and I dealt with it. And you know, it was definitely like a numbing experience for sure, because I was running away. I wasn't trying to be home. I wasn't trying to take care of my mom in a sense. I was trying to avoid the inevitable. And when my dad did leave, I did end up like, you know, losing my job, and I had to help my mom, and we had 2 nurses staying with us, and it was like at 5 in the morning on January 13th, 2019. The nurse woke me up and was like, hey, your mom passed away. And I looked over at her room, and I just peeked in, and I saw her just laying there. And I could feel that she wasn't there, like it was just a lifeless vessel. And I sat back in my bed and just stared at the ceiling for like an hour until I fell back asleep. And I just continued on with my life, really. It's kind of weird to say that. A lot of my friends have told me that like I've handled death pretty gracefully. Don't really know why that is. I don't know. I don't want to call it detachment, but because my mother was everything to me. You know, I cry about my mother all the time. But I don't know. It just seems so, I don't know, so surreal. You know, like in Hinduism and India, like they teach you like change is inevitable. Change is like the biggest thing that life will give you. So you just have to continue with the dance, with the play. It's a play. You just gotta continue rolling. Like people die and they're no longer here, but they're always with us. They're always here. So that was basically that, you know. And then my cat died like like 3 months before my mom on his birthday, which was really weird to me. But yeah, that was basically what happened. That was like one of the key things that made me look even more deeply into life and be like, okay, like there's something going on here that's bigger than me. Like I'm here for something that's bigger than me. I'm not even here for myself, really. Yeah, I think death has to do with acceptance. Acceptance, and I think time plays a part with that, because it takes us time sometimes to accept the things that are. Yeah. Life isn't just eating and sex and partying and bills and rent and money, and like it's so much more than just this material world and our responsibilities. There's so much more going on, things we don't see, things we don't hear, things we're not aware of. Yeah, so there's a bigger purpose to it all. Like our wrongdoings, our errors, our thoughts, our desires, our things that we can't even like about ourselves or accept. Everything's working in a bigger process, bigger cycle. My childhood was like almost like me being a fly on the wall the whole time, just observing, taking it in. Like I wasn't always vocal, I wasn't always as outgoing, I wasn't always I guess I wasn't always so friendly either. I wasn't so social. So in a sense, I've always been observing, taking things in, like watching, you know. And that's kind of like a gift and a curse in a sense. Like life kind of passed me by in a sense, but I got to observe it all. I got to really learn and take it in, you know. So that's basically my childhood. My childhood, I've been judged, bullied. I've gone through many different things, many different chapters and layers. You know, in society in America, you try to be like cool. You know, you want to be cool. You want to grow up and be a part of things and be a part of people and friends. And sometimes we lose ourselves in that, and we get around people who don't really aren't really our real friends, and that ends up playing a big role into like how people like treat you and bullying and stuff like that. I dropped out in 10th grade. I never graduated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was going through a lot in my life. I felt like school wasn't really like doing me service, and I also was learning a lot about the world. I had a lot of pain in my neck and my spine, and I didn't know where it was from. And I went to doctors. I went to a lot of doctors, and I had a lot of tests and stuff like that. It was obviously spiritual, but nobody knew what it was. The doctors didn't know what it was. They said I had a body of an 80-year-old man at the age of 16, which is crazy. My dad, he left when I was a little younger, maybe when I was like 13. I think my dad left. I don't really remember. My mom didn't like my dad. He was very, very much a brute. You know, very aggressive, very disciplined, very militant. And I don't know, he beat me up one day, and my mom was like tired of it and like kicked him out. And I was glad too, because the motherfucker would beat on me. So I was kind of happy that he left, you know. And my dad has never really said anything. He never talks about nothing. He never brings the past up. So I just let it be. Time as a child, you don't realize it, but it makes you strong. It makes you be able to mentally deal with things. I wouldn't be able to mentally deal with all the things I've been through if it wasn't for my father. So I do have to give him that respect that, you know, he made me mentally strong. Yeah. But I didn't really feel much other than like a dislike towards my dad as a kid. I just didn't like him. He was too aggressive. And my dad told me I was always too sensitive. So my best friend used to tell me that I don't have family, I don't have the things that a lot of people have. So my help, my reality has to come from within. Like, my mom is not here, my dad is present in my life, but like not really, you know. And yeah, everything's coming from within. I have to have full faith in the unknown, full faith in trust that everything that's guiding me, that's been guiding me in my heart, is the correct way to follow. Yeah. The biggest fear is not a child being afraid of the dark, but it's when man grows up and he's afraid of the light. That's the real tragedy in life. And I think a lot of adults, especially here in America, they grow up and they shut a certain part of themselves down, and they become this robot as they grow up. And they forget who they actually were, or what they loved, or who they were as a child. And that trauma just keeps piling up until, like, you know, I don't know if you ever heard, but growing up, I always heard like, oh, you got a midlife crisis when you hit 45. Like, and it's because you're going through life not really like dealing with the things inside of you, not dealing with the things that's piling up. So, well, you know, as ancient Egyptians said, as above, so below, as within, so without. So You know, whatever's going on in the stars and the universe and everything, and it's a reflection of what's going on inside of us, and then also in the world, like war and religious things, and all of that is a reflection of who we are and what's going on. Yeah.